So let's jump to the scenario. So I want to tee this up that we all are collectively working for a mythical company that already has 3 applications in different forms. So we have one, which is a technical support chatbot that's in production. It's used 50,000 times per month. And this is to look up using a large language model information about our very complex manufactured airplane or big tool here. And we're using the Azure OpenAI API. So we're going through Microsoft's secure thing, and that's in production today. And the CTO wants to know what is our collective recommendation about that particular application. The second one is a team's been working on it for a while. This is a chat box for new product features for the sales. For a variety of reasons, we went directly to the OpenAI Enterprise API, so it's not through Azure. And it's scheduled currently for November 15th go live, which is 3 weeks from now. And the third project that's in UAT, we don't have a go live date yet, but it's a used chat box for employees. And we're also using the Open Enterprise API. And the CTO wants to get our recommendations. So I want to walk through what do we know, not know, get everyone's opinions, and we'll come back to this slide and make our recommendations at the end of the meeting here. So let's go through what we know. So this is, I'm sure I'm missing some of them. So I watched the 5:45 Eastern tonight. Nadella was on, that's a Wall Street TV show that's very influential. And he made, said he supported the customers. Friday, he's still supporting customers. He's supporting of OpenAI's, he's supportive of innovation, and he's supportive of Sam and Greg, whatever the configuration is, if they come to Microsoft or not in the same team. He said there clearly needs to be change in governance, and he kind of repeated that Sam initially chose Microsoft as a partner with OpenAI 3 or 10 years ago, whenever they started, and Sam's again choosing Microsoft to work with in some way, shape, or form, and that's why customers should feel comfortable. The other piece of information that I don't know, people on the call may know, is that there's a letter of 500 of the 700 employees who have asked that either Sam and Greg come back, or they're all going to Microsoft. I've heard that Microsoft has offered is open-ended offer, willing to hire them all.
That is true.
Latest facts I have,
Well,
are facts, or is that
I shouldn't say it's true, but there is published documentation to that effect. And the most interesting thing is that Ilya Sutskever's name is on that list, who was the person who was originally supposedly the one who kicked out Sam Altman.
Yeah. So those, just kind of was looking at if any other facts, and then this one was in New York Times, where this company had been using a large language model to develop new features, and they're already publicly saying, stating publicly to the New York Times reporter they're going to start looking at Anthropic. Are there other facts or people that
does Anthropic actually have a enterprise kind of API capability? I haven't heard of that.
They certainly have Claude too, is their main one.
I believe they have an API. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were working on, I didn't know the status of it.
I mean, do they support a developers community? Because I haven't really seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone could look that up and stick it in chat, that would be helpful.
My understanding was that they were the organization that was looking to be more of a safe AI delivery. And I believe that was part of the discussion with why Sam was asked to leave, was a balance between safety and speed of development, I guess.
But do you know, does that mean they have an API?
I will check.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, they do.
I thought they did.
I put something in the chat also as well. The docs for Anthropic Claude API.
I mean, it's in limited production right now, but so is a lot of what goes on at OpenAI.
Yeah.
So they're a little behind OpenAI, but there's definitely some access to an API.
And sorry, can I also ask another question? Or
Please.
Like they aren't really geared up for. I have seen nothing that would indicate that they are geared up for this. Like Anthropic isn't really doesn't have apps. It doesn't have anything. Like, so where would this client? How would this client pull that off? That'd be interesting.
Well, if you just need an API, that's all you need. Depends what you're doing. That's what I mean, there are apps being built on OpenAI, but remember, there's not that many public apps built on OpenAI even today. They're just built, they're ahead, clearly ahead. But I think Claude has the same ambitions. And remember, Claude just got $4 billion from
4 to
Amazon
6. Yeah, yeah.
and $2 billion from Google. So they have some access to infrastructure.
And I'm assuming that company that was in New York Times is an AWS shop. I'm also assuming AWS has got their users group come up next week in Vegas, and they are pushing really hard to get 15, 20, 100 companies to say they've left OpenAI this week and have moved over to Anthropic or something over in the AWS thing for the user conference. But go ahead, Mike. Thanks for raising your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, just two notes. So Tim, regarding the money that Amazon has given Anthropic, do you know if that's the similar deal that OpenAI has, where it's not cash on the barrel, but rather just credits?
I'm sure it's a mix, as it was with Microsoft. Microsoft gave them some cash, but mostly compute. And I would assume, but it's not public, so I can't tell you, but I would assume a very similar deal. Not much cash, lots of compute.
Yeah. So the one thing I was going to add to this, Paul, the question I had to do with our scenario that you had portrayed. We don't have any intel yet from our CTO as to are we planning on doing anything with some of the other features like the GPTs? Because, right now, yes, so OpenAI has the lead in that. But if we're not considering that, that sort of changes where I would say, yeah, let's switch the horses or stay where it is. Because I look at this and say, this year, as everyone knows, has been a special year in the accelerated speed that AI anything has gone out. I'm disappointed in what's happened, but not surprised given, again, the just frothy eagerness everyone has for it. I'll be interested to see what happens in the next 30, 60 days with those paid subscriptions. Are they going to tank some of those, or will people just go, yeah, well, we're over that. We're still using it. We still pay for it. We're happy.
Yeah. Mike, just for the rest of the group, we may not know what the OpenAI GPTs are. You want to just summarize that in a sentence or two so they understand? Is that a yellow? What is it?
Yeah. So one of the features that OpenAI came out with is the ability to create your own GPT, is what they're calling it. So it's that's it as far as I can go. If you want to go deeper, but
it's an additional set of functionality that's unique to OpenAI. That's that's leading. That if the CTO moves away from this, or we recommend they move away from that, that will be a degradation, at least from what we know right now. Go ahead.
For the time being.
For the time being, correct. Go ahead, Lucinda.
Yeah, so first of all, I think just on that question for the subscriptions, at the current point in time, it's basically the best one out there right now. If you're paying $20 a month to just use it while you're writing stuff, that's not very, that's not it. You can just turn that off whenever. These scenarios here that Paul has are making bets on stable vendors. So that's a very different thing. So the question that I had for the group was that, I don't know if you've been watching Bard, but Microsoft is not sitting on its hand. Like, yeah, it was kind of clunky in the beginning. Honestly, I use Bard a lot. I use Bard and I use Claude. And I'm sure they have the ability to support enterprise. This sort of uproar, basically just turmoil, I think also allows Google and Bard to step forward. And they understand enterprise because they've got the whole Google Cloud capability. Any thoughts on that?
Lots.
Yeah, I have my own reservations about Google in this space. They have not, in the conversational AI space, they haven't shown the acuity to the market. They're much more focused on doing cloud business, and that's been the way for the last 3 years. So
do you think that means that they are not going to be good at an API enterprise type business?
Yes,
of course, I don't know.
100%. I think they'll get some business. They've got some business now, but they have never shown any particular skill at developing a large-scale enterprise business, even close to the scale of Amazon and Microsoft. There's always tomorrow, hope springs eternal. Maybe things will change, but fundamentally they have so much writing on their advertisement-based consumer search. It's just hard to get air in that room for anything else.
So, and Tim, you're painting a picture where AWS on the cloud side way ahead, Microsoft growing like crazy. They had a fantastic quarter. And
Yep.
Google, a major three, but pretty much further back than those
Yep.
two in terms of the enterprise space.
Oh, it's been my experience for the past 10 years. It's been the experience for the past 9 months. It's a microcosm. We'll see if it pans out over the long run.
Yeah, all right, great comment on the DNA of Google. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Lucinda. Go ahead, Ray. And then we'll go to Mike.
So I've been using Claude extensively, but I've also, of course, have ChatGPT, the $20 a month program, and I've been doing ChatGPTs with the S, and I've been programming them. Claude is way in the dark. ChatGPT is light years ahead. I do stuff that involves 20 to 30 different prompts to build what I'm building. So I've used it extensively. And even in the ChatGPT that is now available, that you can pre-program multiple steps of prompts, what I did notice, it slows down. So I will have in a Word document 20 different to 30 different prompts. If I try to put 10 to 20 of those in at once and then just say, next, now do this, next, now do this, it won't give back really good information. I have to do them one at a time. And so what I discovered is in ChatGPTs, that you can program your own GPT, it also slows down. It doesn't give you as much response per prompt. And as it goes further down, it gets less and less. And so you still really, for now, today, only a year and a half in, it really requires one prompt at a time to get really good content. Then you do the next prompt, good content, the next prompt. So the concept of what GPTs is supposed to do is what the back end was supposed to do, where you can program just automatically go from one prompt to the next prompt to the next prompt. They're trying to do that on the front end instead of having to do it through the API. But I'm discovering that it's extremely slow. So, right? And so,
Ray, so square it up for a CTO. So what does that mean for a mythical company here? Stay with OpenAI or consider?
I think, I mean, just with this weekend's news, it's a tough call because it is a struggle, as you said, I think in the slide, it is a struggle between keeping it slow, being careful about the security issues with that, and that is a long discussion about all the issues involved, compared to what apparently the CEO of Microsoft said, Sam and company, everybody, even all 500 of you, join us and we'll take it to the corporate enterprise and we will go full steam ahead and make this available to do as much as we possibly can, as fast as we can, because we want that $13 billion back in our pocket and we want to start earning money.
Yeah,
So
I think there's one thing I would add, which is there are 100 companies in Silicon Valley who would hire all 500 of those, 700 of those people tomorrow. So Microsoft's not doing anything that special. It's as much defensive as offensive.
But Tim, what was said, I read 12 articles about this over the last couple of days, including 3 more this morning. And it appears that what Microsoft is saying is Sam and company come over here and all 500 of you.
That's right.
And what they're saying is, it's your baby, you do it, it's all yours, we'll stay out of it. That's what he said. And that's what they did with LinkedIn.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying that these people could get jobs in a heartbeat anywhere.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah.
And there will be other people recruiting them, not just
sure.
Microsoft has a good, I think Microsoft is doing that, and it's wise for them to do that because they do have Altman and Greg Brockman, and they have a lot of power, clearly, that all these people said they would resign.
But to answer Paul's question, stay with OpenAI or go over to, I think you're saying Microsoft, correct, Paul?
Or just no, whatever our recommendation is.
Or anyone else. Yeah. You know, I think for what I read, it potentially, this is only 3 days in, so who knows what's going to happen in the next week or two. But let's say they stay with Microsoft. At this point, inside of OpenAI, it's a cluster problem. I'll keep it clean. It's messed up really bad. And the people who are in top on that board, their experience level for all of this, how to run a board, and therefore how to run this company. You have a nonprofit who has a subsidiary as a corporate for-profit. You got different mindsets going on here. The reason this played out the way it played out is because it is so convoluted with very strong differences of opinion as to what to do with this. It's why Elon Musk left. And so now you've got this collision that finally hit the wall. So to stay with OpenAI, right now, it's going to take some time to figure out where they're going with this, because those who are remaining are really basically saying, put the brakes on. This is a real big problem. And the second CEO intern that they just put in, I forgot his name, everybody else probably remembers it, but remember it was the lady, then they went to the guy. And that he has the same terminology where he's saying, what's going on with this stuff, if we don't put the brakes on, is we really are looking, that's his words. I'm just simply quoting him. We're looking at a nuclear war, a nuclear bomb virus kind of thing if we don't put the brakes on this thing. So he's saying the same thing.
Wonderful, Ray. Thank you, Ray. I want you to keep going. So thanks, Ray. I'm going to go to Mike and then Dennis. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed today. I showed up a little late today, and I was on behind. So I hope you don't mind just clarifying a few things for me. The big news this weekend that you're talking about is the CEO getting fired of OpenAI. Is that the big news?
Well, more than that, that they're seeing the Greg, another important co-founder, and a letter of 500 to 700 of the employees at OpenAI saying either Sam and Greg come back or they're all going to go leave, and Microsoft saying we'll hire them all.
Oh, okay.
So there's a potential complete collapse. I mean, it's very unclear, but very dramatic.
Paul, can I just clarify what you just said?
Please.
It's 500, and what they're saying is if the board does not resign, we will leave.
Well, and the board resign and Sam and Greg come back. Is that correct?
Yeah. They know that once the board resigns, Sam and Greg will come back.
But I think the demand is just the board resign.
No.
Yeah, the letter is just the board. But then you look at it, what would happen if the board resigns? Obviously, they may come back, It's a mess right now. It's so current. You don't know exactly what will happen. But the letter clearly stated, because the letter was in the article, it clearly stated we need the board to resign. And then whatever is going to happen after that, it's going to happen.
That's great. Go ahead.
Is there any development going on right now, or are they completely on hold?
Ask it again, Mike.
Is anything going on, or are they completely on hold right now?
No, it looks like a bazillion talks going on and tons of rumors and Microsoft stock going up and down. It's a really big deal for publicly traded companies and everything else.
Wow.
Go ahead, Julio. Then we'll go to Alex.
100. They've already lost about 100 employees.
I was going to go back to the original question, what we would tell the CTO. I would say we would need to start looking at other services for sure. And particularly, though, we need to start testing these prompts with these services because the systems will give you different results with the same prompt. So you need to make sure that they're going to work in the way that you expect them to. So definitely start testing those. And that's assuming that you already had this in production. So it would just be the chat completion API, and that's all you would do. But if you're going to start building anything new, last week they announced the assistance API and the GPTs. Those wouldn't be in production yet because it's only been 2 weeks, or probably not in production yet because it's only been 2 weeks. Those could actually be redone because all they're doing is hosting the documents for you and hosting the conversation threads for you, which is great, makes it really easy, but that could be redone pretty easily. The things that would be harder to do, and they wouldn't be in production yet, but they might be things you're planning on doing, would be any features that involve the multimodal parts of ChatGPT, or involved functions, or the new JSON mode, which is getting valid JSON out of these models has been a nightmare for developers. So that is really where OpenAI is far in the lead compared to other models. Now, other models may come out with these features, but right now you can't just swap out any model, any other model if you're trying to use these things, or if you were planning on using these things. So that's really the hard part. And that's not something you can implement yourself.
And Julio, let me say it real simplistic, make sure that this is not a database being swapped out of database. These are complex things that are not apples to apples. And even despite the fact they're not apples to apples, your prompts are going to work differently in all of them as well.
Exactly. Exactly. If the apples to apples would be the chat completion API. All you want to do is give it some text with some instructions and get back answers. And then that'll exist for every model, but every model will give you a different answer back. And so it may be just as good, probably not, but you may be able to get it good, but it's going to be different. So you want to make sure that it's appropriate for your application, whatever that is. So you have to start testing those prompts. And because you're going to have to, if you have to switch, you want to know where you're going to go. That's the first thing. And if you had any of the advanced features planned, that's going to be harder to replace until Google comes out, Palm comes out with might be multimodal and all that stuff. But Anthropic and stuff, they don't have functions. Their JSON mode is not as good as the GPT-4 JSON mode, which means if you're using it to extract information, a lot of people are trying to build systems where you submit an invoice or something, and then you extract information from the image to get the address or the amount or whatever, and then you want that back in a way that a program could process it, and that would be, you want that information extracted back out as JSON. A lot of times that JSON would be broken, wouldn't be correct, it wouldn't be accurate, and you spend a lot of time trying to get that to work. The latest OpenAI models got a lot better at that. So now when you go to switch to something else, it's just not going to be as good. And so now you got to figure out what you're going to do about that.
Excellent, Julio, thanks. So go ahead, Alex, then we'll go, looks like Dennis next. Go ahead, Alex.
So what I want to say that your reliance on OpenAI is basically dependent on how you design this system from architectural perspective. So as a software architect, you usually you either use universal middle layer, such as LangChain, very popular choice, or you do it yourself. It's unlikely that you want to use only OpenAI when you're designing enterprise level systems. So and if you have this isolation layer, you don't really care if it's OpenAI is available or not. In LangChain, you can switch from OpenAI to Llama or open source solution to anything else really quickly. It's just maybe you're not going to get the same performance, yes, but technically it's not such a big deal. And I also, agree with Julio that OpenAI is really advanced API in some sense. There are features that are not replaceable directly, like function calling or multimodal features. But other than that, if you're using pure prompt engineering, I don't see any issues with OpenAI. And technically, they have a huge cloud formation. And I don't think it's gonna go down anytime soon. So you have a lot of time ahead to plan and switch if you want to. So.
And Alex, I just want to really be clear and make sure I'm understanding, listening as well, to square your comments with Julio. So you're saying that technically it's not that challenging at that pipe level, that LangChain level, and you could change a large language model out in that sense. I thought one of Julio's point was, even if you did that, because the large language models are different, you may get different answers back. Is that?
No. Yeah, they're obviously different in terms of performance. So you're gonna get probably it's gonna be not as good as OpenAI, because obviously, even if you compare ChatGPT 4 and 3.5, they're rather different. So if you switch to different LLM, obviously you're gonna see some difference, but it's not gonna be end of the world. It's
Great, thanks. We'll go Dennis and then Lucinda. Go ahead, Dennis. Dennis, you have your hand up? Maybe not.
Yes, speaking as a product manager, I think your setup is almost like a trick question, because I've got 3 products. Of those 3 products, 1 product is in production. 2 of them are on the drawing board. The product in production is making money for us now. The ones on the drawing board, we hope to make money in the future. So as a product manager, I would say we go with the money we're making, and that means we move. Azure is already Microsoft, so I would go with what we're making money on already. Azure, Microsoft, that sounds good to me. We have time, since the other 2 are in production. I'd say the other 2 are in staging. That gives us time to move if we need to. But if we have to make a choice and move now, then my move would be towards Microsoft, since we're already invested in Azure.
Dennis, would you go live with the December 15th one?
I would probably, it depends, lots of these deadlines are self-induced. And so I would kind of hold off on that if I could, because a lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things are unknown. What I do know is that I would be reticent to invest in a company where I see there's turmoil. Even if Sam Altman comes back, that company is in turmoil. And we can see that, from a management point of view, that organization is in turmoil. And I don't want to tie my boat to an organization that's in turmoil. I want to give them a little bit of time to get themselves together.
Great. Thanks, Dennis. Well, Lucinda, and then we'll do one more with Ray. Go ahead, Lucinda.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can bring up those choices again, I thought I'd just talk through them.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so for number one, 100% agree with what Dennis said, so I won't say it again. For number two, you now have a December 15th that's using OpenAI directly, and it is product featured, so it's probably towards customers. I don't know what the user amount is, but yeah, I think you have to keep going with that anyway, because if it's going to help your sales, then I think you go ahead and do that one anyway. I just wanted to also bring up that there is some sort of like capability with Data Robot, which Data Robot is actually a partner of Ironside, and they had an announcement on November 9th, basically saying that they will have at Azure, but they will have multiple language models. I think they have Claude also, but because it's a low code, no code, more of a, you're kind of buying a machine learning machine in a way that you can swap. They're making it so you can hot swap out language models, that you can hop swap out different models. So that is one way of hedging risk that you could do. I guess for the longer term, for number two, is also see if you can go to Azure OpenAI, because that way you're going to hedge your bets, because Azure is going to make sure, most likely, that they can steal as much as business away from OpenAI as possible. And the way that one path to do that is Azure AI. And then for the third one, that one is for employees, so it's a lower risk one. Doesn't have a date attached to it. I think that one is the one where you really start looking at different options and considering different, because of just the nature of this and probably the timing as well.
That's great. Thank you, Lucinda. Go ahead, Ray. And then we'll do Michael. Finish up Michael and go to Mike. Go ahead, Ray, and then Michael.
I'll be brief. I just wanted to second what Julio said and what Dennis said, because I think both of those guys are right on target. Is that currently ChatGPT AI is so mature in its development across all of the elements that it has. The others are so far behind. They really have a long ways to go. But as a company, and you're trying to figure out what are we going to do here, you keep the AI, however you're using it, even on the back end, and then on with the chat. You continue to use, or even if you're doing even if you're doing a proprietary, we didn't talk about that. Even if you're doing a proprietary in-house GPT, you can still work with OpenAI, but you do begin to take a look at who else is mature, the most mature, and you start working down the road of having 1 to 2 to even 3 different available ways to do what you need to do, because all of this is so new, so yet more things are going to go nuts and take left turns on us. As a company, we need to have multiple ways to accomplish things with this kind of technology. So keep 2 or 3 things up and running. Guys, do whichever you want to do. What somebody said, I think Julio and Dennis said it, I have many times used 3 to 4 different ones, and AI is ChatGPT is way mature in what it's giving me as a return, and the others are so bad it's pathetic sometimes. It's like, I don't know what they're doing here. The thing is, the thing that it's spitting out is so simple and so amateur. It's like, what the hell is this thing for? It's not even doing anything compared to what GPT is doing. That's all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Michael, the last one, then we'll do open mic. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, I've been working with a startup that has code generation, and we've been playing with swapping out different models. We use ChatGPT, or we use GPT-4 and 3.5, and we've had good results from that. We've also used Llama. Nobody's mentioned that tonight. And then several of the others, Mistral, Zephyr, which is Hugging Face's version of Mistral. I have to go with what Alex said earlier. You use a middle layer, such as a LangChain or semantic kernel. That gives you a chance to have your foundation models and then also be able to add in your own information, your own context. Hugging Face has indicated that everybody needs to be doing some fine tuning and then add that piece in. So you have your own context and your fine tuning attached to the evolving foundation models. So we've had good results changing things out. We've been using some of the very small ones too on Mistral that allow you to, just for code generation, we kind of stick to our little gun there and not allow anything else to be discussed without the code generation. If it's outside of that realm, then you can't use it.
Excellent. Excellent, Michael. Thank you so much. So let's wrap that up. It was a good discussion. Sounds like what I'm hearing, I'm going to just go back to complete the story for the CTO. Keep this thing in general, keep number one, but continue to watch it. Number two, I thought the biggest thing I heard was a good suggestion of let's move to the Azure, but stay within OpenAI because we think Microsoft's going to continue to really support us and not let that down. And we have time to really start thinking through what we want to do with number three. So thanks on that. And then open mic for peaks who haven't done it, open mic is anything you want to talk, if you want to share something that you're doing, if you love it, DALL-E 3 now, which is integrated with ChatGPT 4, which is just amazing. People haven't tried it. I've been using it this week and it's just, I forget the example I had, typed in some kind of text and I had a concept and right then I could say, give me an image for this context, give me 4 more images. And it was just wonderful to see how multimodal really is opening up minute time savers and not time shifting for different applications. But how about others? Who else has been really yeah, go ahead.
Dhruv?
Dhruv, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I know there's an H in there to mess people up. Yeah, I just wanted to share my project just because you just mentioned DALL-E and multimodality. So I'm an AI engineer. I'm based in the Bay Area. And my project is AI art greetings. So yeah, it's greeting cards generated by AI. So you can personalize them for your business, your use case. And I've also added like augmented reality to it actually. So if you open this QR code up, it'll open up this world in your room.
Oh,
so yeah, which is
nice.
That's really
generated.
cool.
Yeah, so you guys can try it out. Like it's working. And if there's any issues, you can let me know. It's just me. This is a side project I built and kind of trying to make it easy for people to just start making cards instead of too much typing or anything.
And remind me, using DALL-E 3 in the back? What's your image creation?
It's just Stable Diffusion actually. DALL-E doesn't support rectangular images, which is what I want right now. But as soon as they do, I will use them. But yeah, right now it's just Stable Diffusion with a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you for sharing and keep us up to date on what the progress is.
Yeah, cool. I'm trying to do
December. We can get some sold for Christmas for the people.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to do a holiday push. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Marketing push for holidays. Yeah.
Did you say there was something on the page that we could scan or something that you had we could scan?
Yeah. You can if this QR code, if you scan it, it'll open up it in your room. If you have time right now, you could try doing it.
Can you drop the URL as well into the chat for folks?
Yeah, I can do that. Actually, if you open this URL on your phone, it should do the thing.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a few more minutes, so thank you, Dhruv. Mike, go to Mike and RJ, and then finish up. Go ahead, Mike. Mike, you're on mute.
With the changes in ChatGPT going to DALL-E and all the changes are very positive. One little thing is bugging me, and I'm wondering if anyone knows how to do it. The icon that used to make it so you could copy and paste it is gone. Is there anything that's replaced that, or is that just missing.
Well, hang on here.
It's still on the page. It's on the far left on the bottom.
It's on the far left on the bottom.
Yeah, it's over there now.
Okay, so I'm just not seeing it, but it's
Yeah,
still
you see-
there.
yeah, it's there.
It's right here, right? This is the copy?
If I
Mike-
open it up, there's far left on the bottom.
We're not seeing your screen, Paul.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm seeing it. Why isn't everyone else seeing it?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So right here,
Yeah.
right here, Mike.
yeah, that's it right there.
So ChatGPT, how do we get to that page right there? ChatGPT Classic.
We can go to every day, yeah. Right. So there's the answer, Mike, and then
Yeah,
the
and
copy's
it's right
right
down
left.
there. Huh. Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, RJ, and then Alex. Go ahead, RJ.
Okay, so if you look in the chat at the very bottom where I typed in LLM alternative provider, I was on another call today and somebody recommended this. They really like it. They use it. I don't know if they're using it for production, but certainly for individual use. If you're having a hard time getting access to like ChatGPT 4, for some reason you're not able to connect to it, or so this is an example of a provider that will give you alternative access if you're being blocked in some way. And it could also be to other LLMs. So it's sort of like acting like a hub. And this way you can go to them and they'll get you access depending on what problem you have or what model you want to connect to, even if it's like to someplace you normally connect to, like ChatGPT, but for some reason they're blocking you or something, they're limiting you. You can still get around that using this open router. And there's another link below that sort of explains it. So
That's fabulous. Thank you. Now, Alex H, last one, then we'll wrap up.
Hey everyone. I just wanted to speak on just to remind about, I know everybody's talking about the OpenAI saga, everything happening, but remember that they also have the battle going on between all the GPUs. That entire industry is going to become a battleground for really how AI is built. So Qualcomm, NVIDIA, maybe Apple getting into it now, and of course Microsoft and the behemoth it's going to be now. And like, look at that angle of it as well too. And I think that also like learning to build with those architectures is going to be the future. So just wanted to put that in there.
Excellent, Alex. Thank you so much. And everyone, thanks for a really good discussion, important topic, and another good week as usual. We'll get this thing put up on YouTube for folks who want to review it again or share it with your friends. And let's keep the learning going. Thanks, everyone.